Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So for this episode, I'm going to do my very best to not make this boring for you. I'm going to assume that chances are you are either about to file your tax return. Maybe you've already filed it. Maybe you haven't even received a copy yet. No matter what, this episode is for you. What we're going to cover is how to read your tax return. And I'm not going to teach you how to fill it out. I'm not going to teach you how to reconstruct it or how to audit it. I'm not going to teach you how to read every single line. Okay. I'm going to go through with you how, if you have 5 to 10 minutes to take a breath, you get that DocuSign. You get that thing that says, hey, I need you to sign your tax documents. I'm going to teach you how to be comfortable with that signature, okay? Because that's the objective. Because you should never feel pressure to sign off on a return you don't understand. This is your story that they are publishing. Only you know the ending. Only you know the characters. Only you know the plot line. And it would be a disservice to you personally if you didn't at least spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes looking at the core pieces that really matter. So that's what we're going to cover today. I'm not going to teach you every little nook and cranny of the tax return. I'm also going to make this as, we'll say, timeless as possible, as evergreen as possible, because the tax form will change every single year. And right now it is 2024. We're in the 2023 tax season. So I'm going to be making reference to things I see on this form. But in general, the 1040 form, which is your individual income tax return, seldom really changes. They just kind of order things in a more formatted way. So let's dive in. And first, let me tell you, if you are getting a tax return package, the first thing you should absolutely do is read any cover letter that is on that return package. A lot of tax softwares include a cover letter. I recommend doing it. I love doing it because it gives you a really clear summary of the outcome. What it will describe is like, hey, client, you owe this much to the federal government. This is how much you owe to the state, and this is how you can pay them, either through check or we're going to direct debit your account. So it gives the instructions of how much and how you're going to pay. It will also dictate what your estimates will be for the upcoming year. So for 2024, it will show your estimates. So if you're confused, like, well, what was the outcome and what am I going to owe for estimates? It's all on that letter. You don't have to go burying deep into the weeds of the return. You can find it right there on the cover letter. So save that. Number 2 is you're going to find a stack of things like vouchers and worksheets and a whole bunch of stuff that's supplemental. I promise you it is valuable when you know how to read this stuff, but what I want you to focus on is scrolling through that PDF or flipping through that paper copy until you hit a form with 4 numbers on the top, 1040, 1040. That is technically your tax return. And would you believe this? It's only 2 pages. It's only 2 pages. It's a 2-page tax return with about 100 pages of other crap to support the numbers that are on those 2 pages. That's all it is. So it sounds crazy, but that is really tax returns. It's nutty. So let's just dive into the 1040, like get to that page with me and let's just take a look at it. And even if you're driving, even if you're walking and you're listening to this, I'm just going to tell you, this is all you need to know. And you don't even need to be looking at the form. But the first third of the page of a 1040 is pretty much profile information. It's stuff you already know about yourself, your name, your address, your filing status, things like that. Dependents. We're not going to get into the definitions of all these things, but you know if this is right or not. Like, you know if you have a kid or you don't, or if you're claiming the kid or you aren't. This is probably something you need to clarify in case you're not sure. So let's go into income. So what I want you to picture is there are basically, in the 2023 form, there's 1A through what looks like 8 to get to total income. So you're going to add up 1A through Z all the way down to row 8. Now, 1A, B, C, D, E, F, G IZ is how it goes on the 2023 form. So it's not like 26 of them. So there are different categories here on the form that you're going to add together to get your total income. Your business income is going to be on here, but it's going to show up as your business profit, which is after expenses. Okay. You're also going to see your total W-2 wages. You're going to see the income you've received in interest, which is supported by a 1099. You're going to see the income you've gotten in from dividends, which is also supported by a 1099. So all of these added together will add up to what's called your gross income or total income in row 9 on the form. So these sources of income will get added together. And this is how we evaluate how much you owe in taxes. We figure out what your taxable income is going to be. The first step is adding up all the income. The second step is taking the standard deduction or itemized deductions, whichever is bigger, you get to take. I'm not going to go into which one or how that's computed and all that stuff just yet, but just know that Schedule A, if you scroll through your return, Schedule A will help you support how they got that number. So what you'll notice is every single one of these rows will have a reference to a schedule or a worksheet or a statement. And what you'll be able to do is then scroll through and find that. Now, if you have a PDF, it's even better because you can Control F and find that thing like statement 1. But it's just referencing this is what you need to go look into if you want more information on how we got this number. But just know it's total income. You take the standard or the itemized deduction, and then you'll end up with your taxable income. Your taxable income is what goes through the tax bracket. The taxable income is the thing that you use to determine what bracket you're going to be in and how much taxes you're going to owe. So it gets evaluated. It jumps right down, your return jumps right down from taxable income to here's your total tax. Okay. So it just does the math based on the tax brackets. Now we have a progressive tax system where what you're going to do is you're going to only pay the tax rate of the bracket for the income you're earning in that particular bracket. I'm going to go through tax brackets on another episode, but just know that it's not a straight like, oh, well, I'm in the 24% bracket, so I pay 24% on all of my income. That's not how it works. So it's tiered. And if you need more information on that, I can throw some resources in the show notes for you on how you can figure out how they come up with your tax. But trust that the math is probably right because it's a lot of it's automated now. So we figure out your total tax. The next step is figuring out payments of, well, this is what you have in total for a tax liability. Let's just say I owe $25,000 in taxes for the year, or this is the total amount that comes up in total tax. But then we subtract out if you withheld any already on your W-2. So it's basically like finding out what your total bill is and then figuring out what's been comped. Okay. So we have the total amount. And now we're figuring out, okay, but I did have a certain amount withheld. I had 5,000 withheld. That brought me down to 20. Okay, I owe 20 now. Wait a minute. I paid estimates of 10. So now I owe 10. So you'll see that like all the payments are chipping away at this total tax number. So what ends up happening is what you owe or what you get refunded is just based on what are the total taxes that have been evaluated for you against what you've already paid. That's it. If you've been overpaying, you're going to get a refund. If you've been underpaying, you're going to owe. So if you just understand those fundamentals of I earned income through these different ways, then I have certain deductions and stuff applied to it. Okay. And I've paid this much in tax already. It's pretty simple math actually to figure out what you're going to owe. Now, the next step would be, do any of those numbers in those 2 pages that you're looking at not make sense? Ask questions. Ask questions to better understand and comprehend what it is you're reading before you sign it. Because chances are you could find a mistake. Because like I said, you are ultimately the author of the story. They are just the publisher. You know the characters. You know the outcomes. You know the plot lines. You know what you want to tell in your story. So it's really important for you to be involved in asking the right questions to understand if this is exactly the depiction you want. So you want to be as forthcoming with information as you can with your accountant, but you also want to be really clear when something seems off or you're not sure. I know it is really difficult to question the accountant or to, raise something. You just want to get this over and done with. I get it. You want to sign it. You want to be done. You like the outcome, especially if you're kind of winning, but who's to say you couldn't get more back, or who's to say, that is the optimal outcome for you or it's correct. right? So we have to be really, clear on whether you agree with these numbers. And that's the way you can do it. Just look at those 2 pages. I promise you, there's no need to read a 100-page PDF. Find those 2 pages, look it over, and go, does this make sense? If it doesn't, ask for them to walk you through it. It's not that hard. It really isn't, for them to take the effort to walk you through it. And if you really don't understand this stuff, and this is a really big challenge for you, number one, no problem. It is for a lot of people. But I would say find the right type of help you need to help you walk through this. I've been walking through it in CFO On Demand with my members in that program. And what's so cool is I don't do their taxes. I don't do taxes for people in CFO On Demand. But what I will do is welcome you into a space where we can sit down and you can bring it with you. And I will explain it to you the way that I can, in your way, whatever analogies I can use for you. And I really don't want to stop until it's clear, and that doesn't take too long, luckily. But what I find is a lot of accountants struggle with how to tell this story, with how to explain this, because we've learned the science behind it, not the art of explaining it. So just understand that it can be a challenge to explain a tax return to somebody who isn't familiar with it. But when you open your mind up to understanding it, I promise it will help you, because this ain't going anywhere anytime soon. This is going to be part of your life. And it's really important to embrace this and learn the basics of it, because you may have to help other people, whether it's your children, your family, with understanding this stuff one day. You want to be actively involved in this stuff. So don't miss this opportunity to look at these 2 pages for 5 to 10 minutes and just empower yourself with a little bit more knowledge on what this is actually telling you. One of the things that holds people back from starting their business and going all in on it to grow it is this hesitation around setting it up properly or cleaning things up to make sure everything is legally and compliantly sound. Between setting up the actual business legally and knowing how to manage the money, there's a lot that can intimidate somebody and scare them into not starting. And that's why I bundled up my 5 best resources all together for brand new business owners or for anyone who's looking to clean things up. This is my 5-day mindset refresh, because it always starts with mindset, and my business financial quick starter, which is my starter course for anyone looking to start a business with all the key elements you need to do in order. My tax deduction guide with hundreds of deductions you can take for your business today. My Money Pro matchmaker on how to find the right professional for you, and my cash flow forecasting mini course. This is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. It includes tools and templates, everything you need to get started on your business successfully, or clean things up if you feel like you've fallen behind. Grab your copy right now. The Small Business Starter Kit is yours for free using the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.